Good evening and thanks for joining us. It's hard to imagine the relief that rippled across the world 70 years ago today. The Nazis had unconditionally surrendered. The guns had finally fallen silent. The long and brutal Second World War was over in Europe. Today, the sacrifice of the millions who fought and died, including Canadians, was recognized. And rare audio of the Queen was released, recounting how she, at the age of 19, snuck out of the palace to be part of the celebrations on the street. Eric Sorensen, on a life-changing day, remembered.
Today marks not the war, but the end of war. The French, who endured Nazi occupation. The British, who were bombed for years. The Russians, who lost the most lives. Plus the Americans, who helped end the war. And the Germans, who carry the burden of starting it.
The
Bundestag today praised European nations who endured, then helped Germany recover. Canada, too, celebrates VE Day because more than 40,000 Canadians died freeing an entire continent.
70 years ago, I was in Holland.
Veterans were on parade in Ottawa today.
I was in the Air Force, driving crews to their planes.
Victory in Europe was victory for our parents and grandparents.
The freedoms that we have today, we should all cherish and be thankful for.
Ottawa today, and Ottawa 70 years ago today.
Capital, a parade of Thanksgiving is held on Parliament Hill.
So important was the end of that faraway war that every major city in Canada erupted in an outpouring of joy.
Transportation is at a complete standstill as the Queen City turns out to do honor to the occasion.
And in Europe,
long live the cause of freedom.
Victory in Europe Day. It may have been the single greatest celebration in the history of the world. It was mass euphoria.
A people who for 5.5 long years had suffered under the bombs and guns of Nazi Germany.
One of the VE Day stories to emerge years later is that of Princess Elizabeth.
The British royal family appeared on the balcony.
Elizabeth was 19 on VE Day with her parents, the King and Queen, but wanted desperately to experience the excitement with the people.
Victory in Europe Day.
The story is about to be released on film.
And for 6 years now, we've been positively cloistered. Lilibet and I could go out into the crowd.
She and Sister Margaret went out incognito, swept along, said Elizabeth, on a tide of happiness. In real life, the Queen remembers being outside Buckingham Palace, unrecognized.
We stood outside and shouted, "We want the King." And we were successful in seeing my parents on the balcony. It was one of the most memorable nights of my life.
And for a diminishing number who remember firsthand, it was one of the most memorable and happiest nights the world has ever seen. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.